As we observe President's Day, I want to give a rather nostalgic narrative of what happened to one man who took the oath of office. It's a spectacular story. Warren Harding dies in August of 1923, and perhaps it's better to say he was murdered, and his wife perhaps committed the crime. That's not the intent of today's program, but if you want an interesting chapter about Warren Harding, research that and find out more about his wife. So Calvin Coolidge is a vice president. He is in Plymouth, Vermont, in a 250-year-old home, his father's home, the home where he was born. And you can just about imagine the rustic, wonderful nature of this setting. It is nighttime, and he does not know that Harding has died. They have a telephone in the home, but the phone does not allow for long-distance phone calls. So there is a local telegraph office, and that office is alerted to the fact that Harding is dead. Now how to get a message to Coolidge. So the operator of that office finds some of Coolidge's men in the area. They drive 10 miles to the Coolidge home, and you can about imagine. It's dark, and there's all this emotion in the car, and as the car stops, the telegraph operator bursts out of the door. He runs up the drive, and he says very loud to this big dark house, "President Harding is dead, and I have a telegraph for the vice president." The father, Calvin Coolidge's dad, sticks his head out a window, hears the news, and then retreats upstairs to where his son and Calvin's wife is sleeping and conveys the message. They all then head downstairs, where Calvin Coolidge thinks that it is not necessary to have another oath of office given. He thinks that the vice president's oath that he took originally would suffice. By now, the local congressman has arrived, and he said, "Well, I don't think that's quite right. Why don't you call the Secretary of State, Charles Evans Hughes, and get his opinion?" Hughes says, "Take another oath." So the phone call that was made to Hughes takes place at a store, which is not far from the home of Calvin Coolidge. So they all return now to the Calvin Coolidge home. The father, who will administer the oath because he is a notary, rushes upstairs, he shaves, he puts on clean clothes, and in the meantime, other people are in the family library. They locate a copy of the Constitution, they type out the oath of office, and there, with a kerosene lamp providing the light to the room, Calvin Coolidge's dad gives the oath of office to his son, and then is the first to recognize him as President of the United States. What a powerful story, but it does not end quite there. 2 weeks later, of course, Coolidge is back in Washington, and there are some within the legal framework that think that only a federal individual can give a president the oath of office. And therefore, they believe that the father, who was a state notary, did not make the legal nicety, if you will, of administering the oath. So they have a justice of the Supreme Court give the oath of office for a second time. However, and here's the winning part of the story, the Attorney General at the time makes the Supreme Court justice take an oath of secrecy to not reveal that there was indeed a second administration of the oath, because they wanted to retain this nostalgic image in the American mind of a father in that small Vermont home giving the oath of office to his son. Both stories remain. The original one with the father in Plymouth, Vermont, and then, of course, the administration of the oath for a second time in Washington, D.C. What a wonderful story. And as Paul Harvey would say, now you know the rest of the story. Stay safe during this pandemic and be well.